It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning broadcast covering fishing, hunting, and outdoor recreation throughout the great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, producing a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter, and by Loophole, America's optical authority. Also sponsoring the show every week is Shiloh Inn & Suites, offering affordable excellence throughout the West. Mardon Resort, the place to fish and hunt in eastern Washington, and the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, where nature is on display in Northeast Oregon all year long. And now, let's head into the field with your host, John Cruz.
Happy New Year! Do you have any resolutions for the new year? I know it's a common thing to do, and like a lot of you out there, I'm resolving to lose some weight, get back in shape, and oh yeah, I think I'm also going to launch a new radio show this summer. That's right. It's going to be called America Outdoors Radio. We're going to be broadcasting all over the country about fishing, hunting, outdoor recreation, destinations, and conservation. It's going to be a whole new hour of fun you won't want to miss, and it launches the weekend of June 4th. If you're interested in hearing it, contact your local station. Let them know that in addition to Northwestern Outdoors Radio, you also want to hear another hour of outdoors radio programming, America Outdoors Radio, coming your way in June. But that's over 5 months away. So let's talk about what we've got for you on the show this week. We're going to start off with a motivational conservation piece. We're talking to Raleigh Schmitten about efforts to purchase 14 acres along the Wenatchee River near Leavenworth, Washington. This is prime steelhead habitat, and it's also an opportunity for wildlife watchers and hikers, and maybe in the future even bicyclists, to go ahead and enjoy a unique piece of property in a beautiful location. We'll tell you what you can do to help. After that, Lance Merce joins us for an extended Max Minute to talk about an ice fishing derby for perch taking place in northwest Montana, and a lure you might want to use if you choose to participate. From there, we head to Ocean Shores, where Kurt Holt with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife tells you about where you can fish for all sorts of different species in the fresh and salt water around this wonderful beachfront destination in southwest Washington. If you're looking for a place to stay and a place to eat while fishing around Ocean Shores, we'd highly recommend the Shiloh Inn & Suites. Food and Beverage Director Chad Ondigan is going to join us to give you some tips on how to prepare some really tasty steamer clams, something that might come in handy the next time you head to your local bay or estuary to dig up some of these shellfish. Want more? We've got it as we delve into a messy situation involving the firing of a respected outdoors writer named Don Thomas, the article he wrote that got him canned as a columnist by Ducks Unlimited, and the controversy surrounding a very rich man in Montana named James Kennedy Cox. Throw in the 2016 Sportsman Show schedule around the Northwest and our trivia question of the week from Sportsman's Warehouse, where you get the chance to win a $25 gift card, and we've got one heck of a show to kick off 2016. But first, we've got another edition of Sportsman Spotlight for you. This week, David Sparks is talking about trapping season and dog safety. Sportsman Spotlight is sponsored this year by Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Great saltwater fishing off of British Columbia's Vancouver Island. Find out more at coastwidesportsfishing.com.
Trapping. A touchy subject. David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Trapping is a constitutional right and is one of the most regulated of wildlife harvesting methods. It's legal in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. Despite that, a recent newspaper editorial stated that this right should be restricted or banned based on a couple of instances last year where dogs in Idaho were accidentally caught and killed in body-gripping conibear traps. Make no mistake, fish and game officials and trappers empathize with the owners of those dogs, but feel it's better to use education rather than restrictions or bans to prevent these kinds of unfortunate occurrences from happening in the future. Hunter education courses are mandatory in most states, and accident rates have plummeted. Fish and game officials are confident that, like hunter education, trapper education will make a huge difference. This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
John Cruz here with Northwestern Outdoors. I want to take a moment to tell you about Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. If you're looking for a great opportunity to catch salmon, halibut, lingcod, red snapper off of Vancouver Island, you've got to head to Port Hardy this summer. The place to go, Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. They offer all-inclusive guided fishing trips. That's right, you just show up there. They've got your lodging taken care of. They got your meals taken care of. They'll take you out fishing for 3 or 4 days, your choice, and they'll prepare your fish to take home. Best of all, because of the Canadian dollar exchange rate right now, you can do it at a very affordable price. Find out more at coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible fishing adventure at a very affordable price.
Are you ready for some real adventure? Then wake up to winter in Wallowa County. Grab your camera, put on your snowshoes, and take a professionally guided hike into the quiet solitude and breathtakingly rugged beauty of the Eagle Cap Wilderness. Or sleep under the stars and test your mettle with some winter camping and ice fishing for kokanee and trout at Wallowa Lake. Or bring your snowmobile to Salt Creek Summit and explore Wallowa County on 150 miles of Northeast Oregon's best trails. Your outdoor winter adventure begins at www.wallawacountychambers.com.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We've got another conservation piece for you this week. We're talking about a tiny 14-acre parcel on the Wenatchee River in north central Washington. It's located near the little community of Peshastin. It's not far from Leavenworth, which lies in the foothills of the East Cascades. The Wenatchee, if you weren't aware, is a beautiful river. There's a lot of steelhead in it. There's a lot of wildlife that surrounds this river. Lots of opportunities here, but this 14-acre parcel is for sale. With us here to tell us about an effort to buy this parcel and keep it in public hands is Raleigh Schmitten with Save the Peshastin Mill Waterfront Organization. Raleigh, welcome to the show.
John, thank you for having me, and Happy New Year.
Well, thank you for that, Raleigh. And Raleigh, why don't we go ahead and start off talking about this 14-acre stretch of the river. I remember fishing this stretch of the river, catching my first 10-pound steelhead out of here on a snowy morning a few years back. And I understand that when you grew up, you used to fish this area as well for steelhead.
John, having grown up right in this neighborhood, I caught my first steelhead and probably my 100th steelhead right in this strip of land on both sides of the river from where the old Peshastin Mill was. It is a beautiful drift. What's particularly nice and what we're trying to do in acquiring this land is that the bank fisherman is losing out. Private property is putting up no trespassing signs, and this would give almost 3/4 of a mile of bank fishing opportunity to the public.
Now, this used to be, obviously, the old Peshastin Mill site. Then it was, I believe, purchased and owned by high-up growers, and then the Port of Chelan County bought it. They've put it out for surplus, and I know that private developers, like you said, could certainly buy this land. If that happens, no more public access here. But not only bank anglers lose out, but also wildlife watchers. This area is rich in both wildlife in terms of the flying variety and the land variety. And we've also got, other opportunities for hiking and biking that we'll get into as well. So your organization, who is it made up of, and how are you trying to buy this land from the Port of Chelan County?
Well, let me just say why I'm personally involved, and I'm at an age, my wife Barbara and I, that we want to leave something for our kids and grandkids and ultimately their kids, and that's not a gift like we used to give that in a few weeks or a year is worn out, broken, or forgotten. We want to give something that will last forever, and that's why I agreed to be a part of the Save the Peshastin Mill waterfront site. I am joined with two other people, Bob Barlett, Wenatchee attorney, Cherry Rancher pilot, and a leader for the Save the Loop Coalition. And then the other person is Bob Stroop. He is a ever-popular retired teacher, outdoors enthusiast, past president of the Icicle chapter of TU from Leavenworth. We're the threesome that are undertaking this project.
So there's the three of you, and by the way, folks, if Raleigh Schmitten's name sounds familiar, it's probably because he's the former director for the National Marine Fisheries Service, spent a lot of time here managing this region here in the Northwest, and actually, on a side note, my father was his right-hand man in the 1980s and early 1990s. So he's got a lot of fishing background, Raleigh does, and Raleigh, let's talk about the groups that are involved with this here. Besides you, there's the Icicle chapter of Trout Unlimited, there's the Wenatchee Valley Fly Fishers, and the Complete the Loop Coalition. How much money do you have to get together to purchase this property, and where are you at now?
John, the goal is $460,000. Now, let me just tell you why this property is so unique. Yes, it's only 14 acres, 3/4 of a mile in length, but it is the largest piece of the low bank, undeveloped waterfront that runs from Wenatchee to Shasta, to Leavenworth, actually. And this land is in the same condition as it was when the Wenatchee tribe used to go up and down the riverbanks. So it is in a primitive state. That kind of describes its richness. And we initially met, we had a donor put in $50,000, an anonymous donor, to get us started. Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Elliott Skull, who is really a strong supporter of public use of lands, he put up a matching gift of $100,000. So we have a great start. We're about halfway to our goal, and we've held a salmon barbecue fundraiser. We've initiated a 500 club, which is the first 100 people that contribute $500. We currently have a letter campaign going on, so we're really trying to reach out to the public.
Well, and folks, the clock is ticking on this. Summer of 2016 is how long this group has to go ahead and purchase this property. Again, we're talking to Raleigh Schmidt, and he's telling us about a group called Save the Peshastin Mill Waterfront, and they are trying to purchase 14 acres of waterfront on the Wenatchee River and keep it accessible to the public. You're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and we love to delve into these conservation issues, especially when they can become huge success stories like this. So here's the question. Let's say you're successful. What happens next?
John, this is the interesting part, because we want to turn this property over to a public entity, and that public entity that has stepped up to the plate is the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. They have agreed for general public use, low-impact use, and what we envision would be a trail going to the property, and that would be for the walkers, joggers, bikers, bird watchers, folks that want to picnic or fish. It's all available to them. We'd have a few benches to sit and be comfortable. And then what the WDFW would like to do is make it really an exclusive bank fishing zone where the people that can't afford a guide or own a drift boat will always have a quality place to fish or steal in.
Well, it certainly is a quality run and a quality place, Raleigh. You are absolutely right about that. But I want to talk about something else here, and that's one of the partners in this group is the Complete the Loop Coalition. For those of you who are not familiar, there's a 10-mile loop that goes basically from Wenatchee across the Columbia River to East Wenatchee and back into Wenatchee again. Recently, part of this loop was extended up to Rocky Reach State Park, and so now it's basically a total of 15 miles that you have of loop trail. But there's a dream to get that loop extended all the way from Wenatchee to Leavenworth, and this is an important part of it, isn't it?
John, it's so critical, because without this piece, if another buyer was to purchase it and exclude the public, it would be nearly impossible, if not impossible, to have a trail that would extend from Peshastin to Leavenworth. While that's not our primary goal is to secure the land. That certainly would contribute greatly to that goal.
So there you go, folks. Whether you're an angler, whether you're a wildlife watcher who wants to see the eagles and osprey that are around here, or maybe the waterfowl that are swimming along the river, or maybe some of the deer, some of the muskrat that you're going to find around here as well, or if you're a dyed-in-the-wool steelhead angler like I am, this is something you should care about. The group, again, is called Save the Peshastin Mill Waterfront. They have a website, and they need your help. The website is savepeshastinmillwaterfront.org. I'm going to say that again, Save Peshastin, and that's spelled P-E-S-H-A-S-T-I-N, millwaterfront.org. We'll also have a link off our website at northwesternoutdoors.com if you didn't get a chance to write that down. And I understand, Raleigh, that people can go to that website and donate online.
That's exactly right, John. You know, if your listeners agree that this unique land should belong to the public, either contact Trop Unlimited at 509-888-0970. Again, 509-888-0970. Or as John said, go to our website, SaveShastonMillWaterfront.org.
It's time for you to step up the plate, especially if you live in Central Washington listening to this show today. Raleigh, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
John, thank you, and be sure to say hello to your dad. He was the most professional person that I know in the world of fish management.
And on top of that, the best dad a son could ever hope for. Thanks, Raleigh. I do appreciate it.
Listen up, steelheaders. Fishing jigs under slip bobbers is one of the best ways to hook up with a metalhead this season, and Max Lure Company has got 2 jigs you have got to have. The Glow Getter is a marabou jig with a stout hook that's perfect for waters where no bait is allowed. When you can use bait, tie on a rock dancer. Tip it with a shrimp and put some oil on the scent collar, and before you know it, you'll be catching some of the best fighting fish around. The Glow Getter and Rock Dancer jigs, only from Max Lure Company.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time again for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us again, Lance Mers with Max Lure Company. Lance, I understand, in western Montana, there's a derby series taking place through the ice this winter called the Perch Assault. What's this all about?
You know, John, it's really cool. It's an ice fishing tournament, and it's over the course of the winter. It starts on the 12th of December on Smith Lake, which is right next to Kalispell.
Okay.
And then as the winter progresses, there's a couple other lakes. But it's a one-day ice fishing tournament with all sorts of rules. All you got to do is Google Perch Assault, and it's going to be a pretty good time.
Now, one of the main people behind the Perch Assault Derby is a pro guide for Max, Mike Howe. Isn't that correct?
That's right.
And obviously, since he's a pro guide and he's supporting you, you're supporting him by telling folks about this. But let's give people an edge. Is there any lure in particular you'd recommend for those taking place in the Perch Assault that might help bring home some money?
Well, yes, absolutely. And Mike has pictures to back this up. There are perch out there that I've never seen this size before at all. But what he's using is called the Sonic Bait Fish.
Okay.
This is a jigging spoon, but it's got versatility to it. You can cast it, you can troll it, you can jig it. You can do all sorts of things with this. Fishing through the ice is absolutely phenomenal. On the fall, it emulates a dying bait fish is what it does. And on the rise, it gives you a lot of flutter and vibration, which those fish get attracted to.
And I know the Sonic Bait Fish comes in some very small sizes, too.
It does, yes. You know, you got as low as a 1/10 ounce.
That's pretty small.
So, yeah, it is. Actually, you know, I would recommend probably a 1/6 or maybe even a 1/4 ounce when you're doing this Perch Assault or, you know, fishing for panfish.
All right. Go ahead and Google the Perch Assault if you're interested in this ice fishing derby taking place in western Montana this winter. And if you need lures to fish it and win, check out the Sonic Bait Fish from Max Lure Company. Lance, thanks for telling us all about this week.
Thanks, John.
If you're looking for a great opportunity to catch salmon, halibut, lingcod, red snapper off of Vancouver Island, you've got to head to Port Hardy this summer. The place to go, Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Find out more at coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible fishing adventure.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
You can fish from a boat, or you can stand on shore, or you can use a pontoon with carpet on the floor. You can sit upon a dock or wade out to a big old rock.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're visiting ocean shores along the Washington coast this week. And if you're like me, you're bringing a fishing rod along. With us to tell us more about fishing opportunities in and around ocean shores is Kurt Holt. He's a fish biologist with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Kurt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, John. I appreciate being on.
You know, when people go to the ocean, most people immediately think about fishing right off the beach, and most of them are fishing for surf perch. Is that an option here in ocean shores?
Surf perch out here at Ocean Shores is a wonderful experience. It's one of those fun fisheries that we have. Actually, it's one of the lesser-known fisheries that we have because you can actually fish for surf perch from the Ocean Shores jetty north about 40 miles to the Moclips River. It's a great fishery, like I say, because you can do it right after a clam dig. Take those clam necks, cut them off, spend an extra hour or two out on the beach. You especially want to fish those incoming tides. Just take those clam necks, put them out there, cast them out into the surf line, and you're good to go for fishing.
All right. And, folks, those surf perch are pretty tasty fish, pretty good size too, and they put up a nice little fight. Let's talk about the jetty itself. I've always been curious if the fishing's any good off that jetty and what people would catch if they were fishing there.
Well, you know, it's interesting because so many people just go right out to the beach and they just look at the beach and wonder what's left. There's so much other opportunity. If you go south to the jetty itself, it's a pretty small jetty compared to the one out at Westport, but there's fishing opportunity, especially when you're on the jetty itself and you're fishing on the riverside or on the south side of the jetty, and black rockfish tend to be the fish of preference. In addition to that, if you go heading eastward, inward, there's a place called Damon Point or Point Brown near the marina. There's also a sunken jetty that's in there, so at low tide you can actually see it. So if you fish on the north side of that jetty, there's a lot of bottom fish opportunity is there as well. Even Damon Point, there's people that take their little golf carts out there and go fishing off for black rockfish or surf perch right off the sandy beaches, and that's a good opportunity as well.
You are giving me some really good ideas for my trip here. I like this. Now, ocean shores, everyone immediately thinks of ocean fishing, but there's this huge waterway called Duck Lake that's not just a lake, it's a series of canals, and I understand that there's both largemouth bass and trout fishing here on almost a year-round basis.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting about Duck Lake because I do the Razor Climb Festival there every year. At least half the tourists that come out to Ocean Shores don't even know Duck Lake exists. It's a very large lake, about 300 acres in size, and you can really break Duck Lake into two different segments. One is their main lake, and the rest of it's made up of these side canals. Hundreds of homes are along the lake, docks and things like that. So two types of fisheries occur in Duck Lake. One is a trout fishery that we have. We put over 5,000 fish into Duck Lake, and usually starting around school spring break, we put several hundred fish in that lake that are in the 3 to 4 pound category.
Oh, wow.
As well as several thousand smaller ones. Now, the program being raised out of Sats of Spring raises quality trout, and we have them from 4 to 6 pounds on average throughout the whole year, and they get planted at 3 different times, and the easiest place to think is find out where they plant them. The easiest place is there's 2 boat launches, the North City Park, and there's also a South Chinook Park as well, where they put them at boat launches. You can put your boat in right there, and right off the front, you're fishing for trout in the 4 to 6 pound category, as well as some pretty high quality, thousands of quality trout that these hatcheries put in as well. As we switch to warm water fisheries, the Duck Lake offers perch fishing, black crappie, as well as largemouth bass. There are bass in the 4 to 6 pound category out there, but usually those big ones around 4 pound is generally what you see, but very few of them are left. It isn't the warm water fishery that we had a couple decades ago that people are familiar with. In addition to that, a lot of the smaller perch are really of small, tiny size. We ask people to take the small ones as well as the big ones because you're going to have to sort through a lot of them, but it provides a lot of opportunity. Not a lot of bank fishing access because there's so many property owners along the way, but great if you have a bass boat, and there are some docks available for the bank fishers.
So this is a year-round lake, isn't it?
Exactly, yes.
And, what I like about this, folks, is it's just the way it's situated, especially these little canals. This is perfect for a car topper with an electric motor. You can just explore and fish and, like, troll a wedding ring spinner if you're after trout, or, go ahead in the winter and early spring, basically be casting a large jig, and you've got a good chance at some bass there. So Duck Lake, great resource that's really overlooked. Another thing we need to talk about when we're talking about fishing the general area, people are always thinking when they go to the coast about salmon and steelhead. Got a couple of rivers here. One of them, the Hump Tulips, and that's got a pretty good reputation as a salmon and steelhead river, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I think it's one of the best rivers down here in southwest Washington. It's really known for salmon, especially for the Chinook salmon down here. Hatchery program on the Hump Tulips. A lot of Chinook are available for harvest, as well as coho. And the steelhead fishery now that's coming on board. Usually those steelhead are in here December, January, and early February. Just looking at some numbers, we probably got 2,600 steelhead coming back this wintertime to the Hump Tulips area. And those are just our winter run fishery. In addition to that, the Hump Tulips also has a summer run program as well during the summertime. So basically there's summer and winter steelhead there year-round. Target time period for the Hump Tulips, of course, is that December and January time period for those hatchery steelhead. It's a great river fish. About 30 miles of river are available to fish, has access for drift boaters, and also for bank fishers as well. It's a great river to fish, especially if you're following those websites to know what those river flows are doing, especially during these time periods. Once that river drops, boy, fish can be right on.
I'm really glad you talked about the access for both bank anglers and drift boaters. That's something I was just about to ask you about, but I'm going to ask you about it now, about a different river, and it's one I don't know a whole lot about and haven't found a lot of literature either. The Copalis River that's just north of Ocean Shores. Are there opportunities there?
Oh, there is. The Copalis is kind of like the Mo Cliffs and the Joe Creek up north as well. They're kind of unknowns. People just kind of drive by them, or during the clam digging season, they just drive by these rivers as well. The Copalis River is what we nickname the River of 1,000 Casts. In other words, when I fish that river, I tell you, when I'm in a boat, there's fish rolling all over the place. The question is, can you get them to bite? And then when you do, it's just fish on. But boy, you really got to find that trick to get them to bite, because it's pretty frustrating when they're almost jumping in your boat and they're just rolling all over the place. The target time period for the Copalis is September and October, when that early run of hatchery fish comes in. There's a little bit of a late run of coho in the Copalis, but not as big as that early run. But the other fun part of the Copalis is those fish are swimming in right from the ocean to come into the mouth of the Copalis, and you can see them swimming right through the creek, and some are actually near the beach just watching them swim up, and then they're casting for them.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute hoot. All right, and one other thing, folks, that I want to mention, when you go up there to the Copalis River, if you're not catching fish, check your dates, because it might be a date that's open for razor clamming, at least this winter into spring. Finally got an opener over the Christmas holidays for the Copalis beaches, which basically runs from Copalis all the way down to the jetty at Ocean Shores, and I suspect you're going to see some more openings. Get limit is 15 razor clams a day, and this is a lot of fun. This goes into something else. You kind of touched on this earlier, razor clamming and surf perch fishing. I mean, you can have a number of different fishing and shell fishing experiences in just a day heading out to Ocean Shores, can't you?
Oh, exactly. That's what we call our combo trips. So often we get thousands of clam diggers come down to the North Beaches, and they go dig their razor clams. Next thing you know, they're off the beach and they're heading home. But don't forget the opportunity there for surf perch. Once it's a low tide for the razor clams, go back to the truck, grab your fishing rod, and go back out and fish for surf perch. We have people that do the combo trip of doing the clams, then they go do Duck Lake. They do clams, or they go fish the Hump Tulips. And it's not uncommon to hear people, catching a steelhead and getting the limited clams in the same day. So these combo trips are excellent ways to take advantage of the beaches, in addition to all the wildlife viewing opportunity that's out at the beach, too.
So there you go, folks. We've talked about cast and blast before on the show, but we've never talked about cast and clams. So now you've got that. It's all waiting for you at Ocean Shores. Folks, again, we've been talking to Kurt Holt. He's a fish biologist with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Kurt, is there a resource online where folks can find out more about these clamming and fishing opportunities in this neck of the woods around Ocean Shores, Washington?
There is. If you go to our website, like everybody has their websites available, their website will tell you the latest openers that we have for our fishing rules. If you don't have one of our pamphlets, you can find it online to look at that particular river that you're interested in. We have access areas. You can type in boat access or fishing areas, or even target a particular species that you want to go after. One of the tricks of the trade to me is to find out the best opportunity, and one of those online opportunities, just example of Duck Lake, you can go online and find out exactly when we're putting the fish in the lake, the particular day, how many fish. It says that because in our particular area, we're planting that lake 4 different times during the year, and and it shows you how big they are as well. So if you want those lots of them, or you want small ones, or you want those 4 to 6 pounders, all you have to do is look at our website.
Fantastic. And that website, folks, is wdfw.wa.gov. That's wdfw.wa.gov. All sorts of information there. Kurt, we are out of time, but thanks for sharing all of these great fishing opportunities around Ocean Shores, Washington, with our listeners on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John.
Clear Lake, Rice Lake, Sugar Lake, Mud Lake, Long Lake, Ant Lake, Swan Lake, and Lake of the Woods. Oh, I fish everywhere.
It's Sportsman Showtime in Central Washington, and Schuler Productions once again has got 3 great shows coming your way. It starts off with the Tri-City Sportsman Show at the Track in Pasco, January 22nd through the 24th. Following that, the Central Washington Sportsman Show, February 19th through the 21st in the Yakima Sun Dome. And then, this is the Wenatchee Sportsman Show at the Town Toyota Center, February 26th to the 28th. Find out more at SchulerProductions.com. Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. The big news there is that they are whacking and stacking the geese out there in the Columbia Basin. The boys with the Mardon Duck Taxi are just having a great time. Early limits of big Canada geese. There's also a lot of mallards in the area. And don't forget your fishing poles, because they're still catching walleye. Find out more by going to MardonResort.com. That's MardonResort.com, where the geese are falling, the fish are biting, and it's just plain fun. All right, we've got quite a story to share with you today. It involves Ducks Unlimited. It involves a writer named Don Thomas, and it involves a very rich man named James Cox Kennedy. The setting's Montana. Here's what happened. Don Thomas is a well-respected outdoors writer and a longtime columnist for Ducks Unlimited magazine. This fall, Thomas authored an article that was published by Outside Bozeman called A Rift Runs Through It. It's about a grassroots group of sportsmen who battled one of the richest men in the nation, James Cox Kennedy, about public stream access. Kennedy owns a ranch in southwest Montana that fronts 8 miles of the Ruby River. Anglers and others were accessing the water from a bridge and a public roadway, which is a well-established means of public access in the Treasure State. Kennedy didn't like it, though. He put up barbed wire to stop this, and the case went to court. In fact, it went all the way to the Montana Supreme Court, and Kennedy ultimately lost. Thomas, in writing this article, definitely did not paint Kennedy in a favorable light. Unfortunately for Thomas, Kennedy is not only a very rich man, but also a major donor to Ducks Unlimited and a longtime volunteer with his organization. Ducks Unlimited ended Thomas's column a month after the article came out. Thomas went on an online forum and said this about the situation. On November 10th, a Ducks Unlimited functionary informed me that my position with the magazine was terminated because of Cox's displeasure with the article. Several points deserve emphasis. By terminating me for no reason related to my work for the magazine and the organization, DU has essentially taken the position that wealthy donors matter more than the outdoor recreationists they purport to represent. As an outdoorsman and conservationist who supports the North American model and public trust doctrine, I find DU's action reprehensible. As a journalist, I find it chilling. It gets uglier. Rich Landers, outdoors columnist for the Spokesman Review, published an article a couple of weeks ago showing James Cox Kennedy donated $100,000. That's right, $100,000 to a secretive conservative group accused of breaking Montana's campaign finance laws to influence the election of 2 state Supreme Court justices in 2012. Guess what? The 2 candidates Cox Kennedy were supporting won the election, and I'll leave it up to your imagination which way they're going to rule should another public stream access case come their way. The whole thing just stinks of influence peddling. The firing of Thomas, the donations to the Montana Growth Networks to finance the campaigns of the judges, it is downright ugly. As a longtime supporter of Ducks Unlimited, I was upset about their decision as well, especially if Thomas's allegations are true. I reached out to DU and was able to obtain a statement from them, which reads in part the following. In DU's opinion, the article published by Mr. Thomas in Outside Bozeman publicly and very personally attacked a DU volunteer leader and noted waterfowl conservationist. We felt the article demonstrated a lack of fairness in vilifying a member of the DU family without allowing that person the opportunity to provide his perspective. As a result, DU decided to discontinue its relationship with Mr. Thomas. We would be similarly concerned if Mr. Thomas had written comparable statements about any DU volunteer leader. Mr. Thomas has the right to express his opinions in any way he sees fit. DU has the right and responsibility to choose who contributes to its publications. Well, to that I would say fair enough. I was also able to contact someone at DU headquarters who agreed to speak with me off the record. He reiterated again that Kennedy never asked for any action to be taken against Thomas, though he apparently did ask if Thomas was writing for the magazine. This source also said that Thomas was not an employee, merely a person who wrote a column for the DU magazine, and the decision to end Thomas's column came from the editorial staff of Ducks Unlimited magazine, not from anyone on the board of directors for Ducks Unlimited. I asked this source if anyone else had ever been fired or let go for vilifying any other DU volunteers, and he was unaware of any previous examples, but he did ask me to dig a little further into Mr. Cox Kennedy, so I did. And what I found out is that this person, painted as a black-headed villain by Thomas, has actually poured millions of dollars and likely thousands of hours into conservation efforts for Ducks Unlimited and other organizations as well. In fact, he's even hosted 3 hunting events for wounded veterans on his Ruby River Ranch property, which just goes to show you can't paint anyone with a completely black or white brush and be accurate. One more note here as well. I don't claim to be the best outdoors writer in the world, and frankly, I think Don Thomas is a far better writer than I'll ever be, but reading this article in Outside Postman, I do think he stepped over the line. In the article, for example, he describes Kennedy as, quote-unquote, a selfish man who inherited his assets and would be of little consequence, except for the staggering number of zeros on the numbers at the end of his bank account statements. He also goes on to subtitle Kennedy's attitude towards stream access laws as, quote-unquote, screw you, I'm rich, and says Cox Kennedy is, again quoting, arguably the most unpopular man in southwest Montana. These statements may or may not be true, but they are personal attacks and are merely Thomas's opinion, unsupported by any statements attributed to anyone else in the article. In other words, it's crummy journalism. And I can't help but wonder at the end of the day if Thomas would still be writing for Ducks Unlimited if he had just left those personal attacks out of the article and stuck to the facts. So there you go. The world, as always, has many shades of gray, and in the end, there's no winners in this mess. Okay, let's move on to something more cheerful and head back to the coast of southwest Washington, talk about steamer clams. Next on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we are broadcasting from the Shiloh Inn restaurant in Ocean Shores, Washington. Earlier, we told you about fishing in this area and clamming here as well, and that probably whetted your appetite for coming here and staying in Ocean Shores. Well, if you come, you've got to stay at the Shiloh Inn. It's the place I stay every time I come to Ocean Shores. It's a wonderful property, great staff. The rooms are all oceanfront. There's an indoor pool, there's a workout area, but best of all, there's a fantastic waterfront restaurant here. And with us here is the food and beverage director for the restaurant here, Chad Andogan. Chad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, John. Good to see you.
Well, Chad, you have put a wonderful plate of steamer clams in front of me here today, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to tell our listeners a little bit about making a great plate of steamer clams, and I thought we would take it all the way from digging up the clams to right now where I'm eating them, and I just ate the first one, folks, and it is absolutely delicious. So, Chad, I've just dug up my clams. I've put them in a 5-gallon bucket, rinsed them off. I've got them in salt water. What should I do with them next to make sure that they are as tasty as they are right now?
What you want to do, first of all, is rinse them off very carefully. Make sure you get all the sand and seaweed off of the clams. Of course, you want to soak them in salt water again until you get ready to cook them.
That soaking in the salt water, especially the clean salt water, they actually purge out a lot of that sand and debris themselves, don't they?
Yes, they do. But you also have to run and flush them with running water to take off more of the debris.
So, now it's time to actually cook them. Are we just basically dumping them in boiling water, or what are we doing?
We're actually going to do something different, John. What we're going to do is we're going to take some garlic and some butter and some shallots, and we're going to heat up the skillet with those ingredients in the pan. And after about a minute, what we're going to do is we're going to put in some shallots. We're going to put in about a pound of the clams. We're also going to put some diced tomatoes, some salt, some pepper, some herbs, and we're going to let them steam for about 3 minutes. Then we're going to sprinkle some white wine over it and let it steam a little bit longer until the shells actually open up.
It looks delicious, it tastes delicious, and it's a lot better than the clams I make in boiling salt water, let me tell you. So this plate, or bowl I should say, of steamer clams, this is kind of a staple at pretty much all of the Shiloh restaurants that are along the ocean, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is our own special recipe with the clams.
I'm just going to have another bite right here because it is just so darn delicious. And the sauce, you can't beat it. Get yourself a bowl of steamer clams. I hope that you enjoyed this recipe that Chad shared with you. You can try that at home as well, and you're going to absolutely love it. But if you can't remember it, come on out here. It's the Shiloh Inn at Ocean Shores. Great place to spend an evening or an afternoon. You know, go play on the beach. Come on in here and treat yourself. Find out more by going to their website. It's shilohins.com. That's shilohins.com, and book your stay right here in Ocean Shores. Chad, thanks for sharing this with our listeners on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
We've got the Northwest Sportsman Show schedule for you. There's 4 major circuits here in the Northwest. All of them are run by experienced show promoters who do a really good job of putting the outdoors on display for you to see during the winter months, and they all make it a point to have some kid-friendly activities as well. We'll start off with the Great Rockies Sports Shows in Montana. The first one in the Northwest kicks off in Billings, January 8th through the 10th at Metro Park. There's going to be one in Helena, February 26th through the 28th at the Lewis and Clark County Fairgrounds. And Missoula, Montana has one March 12th and 13th at the University of Montana Adams Center. Merle and Bev Schuler are 2 wonderful people who have been putting on some great shows in Central Washington for years. The Tri-City Sportsman Show is taking place January 22nd through the 24th at the track in Pasco. The Central Washington Sportsman Show is going to be happening February 19th through the 21st at the Yakima Sundome. And after a year's absence, the Wenatchee Sportsman Show is back February 26th through the 28th at Town Toyota Center. Another great promoter out there is Joe Pate with Exposure Shows. He is putting on the Eugene Bowden Sportsman Show February 5th through the 7th at the Lane County Convention Center. The 20th Annual Sportsman and Outdoor Rec Show will be taking place February 19th through the 21st at the Douglas County Fairgrounds in Roseburg. And the Medford Sportsman's and Outdoor Recreation Show will take place February 26th through the 28th at the Jackson County Fairgrounds. Now, the 2 really big shows that happen in the Northwest are put on by the O'Loughlin's. The first one coming up is the Washington Sportsman Show. It'll be taking place at the State Fairgrounds in Puyallup, January 27th through the 31st. It's the second biggest one in the Northwest and will be there. After that is the 41st Annual Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show. It's the biggest show in the Northwest, one of the biggest in the country. Takes place at the Expo Center in Portland, February 10th through the 14th. And don't forget the Central Oregon Sportsman Show, too. That one takes place at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds in Redmond, March 3rd through the 6th. Finally, an independent show put on by the Inland Wildlife Council is the Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show. Love this show. We're always at this one, too. This one's taking place at the Spokane Interstate Fairgrounds, March 17th through the 20th. One exhibitor you'll probably see at just about all of these shows is Sportsman's Warehouse. They are America's premier outfitter, and with over 60 locations in the country, many of them in the Northwest, you'll likely find them well represented at these venues. With that in mind, it's time for our Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week. This is a great time of year to go whale watching along the Oregon coast. Whether you look for them from the many scenic viewpoints along the coast or go out on a whale watching charter, you're likely to see some of the thousands of whales migrating south close to shore. But what kind of whales are you most likely to see right now? Are they gray whales, fin whales, or killer whales? Again, your choices: gray whales, fin whales, or killer whales. Which one do you think you'll most likely see if you head to the Oregon coast right now? Give us your answer on our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Like our page, go to the post, and let us know what you think. Or contact us through our website on our Contact Us page at northwesternoutdoors.com. One person who guesses correct is going to win the $25 gift card we give away every week from Sportsman's Warehouse. While you're on the web, check out RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet station dedicated to outdoors radio programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're part of the lineup. Proud to be there. The website again, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. We are out of time, but until next time, let me wish you a happy new year and say take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.